back to Hardly Minding My Business. I'm your host, Dashing D. I am trying out this video thing again. We're gonna see how it's gonna work. I'm in a different space, so it might sound a little bit different. I'm checking it out. I'm gonna see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well. If it doesn't go well, we're gonna scrap it like we scrapped the last one and start again. But I think this is okay. As you can see, we are in a more comfortable space, a little bit more open space. Well, you didn't see the last time, but I'm not in my closet is what I'm saying. And I'm trying this new setup. I have this cute little aesthetic that I have going on here. Still recording from home, but in a different area of my apartment. So without further ado, let's get to it. Like I said, this is Hardly Minding My Business. Thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new, thank you for being here. I am Dashing D. We talk about everything here, from pop culture to dating and relationships to, I don't know, serious shit like political shit that I don't really want to talk about, but sometimes we gotta talk about it. Like, we care about abortion over here, so we gotta make sure we talk about that. We care about all women's rights, so we gotta talk about that. We care about Black people and people of color on this podcast, so we gotta do that too. You run down the list, we've probably covered it in some way, and I'm saying we, but it's really just me. So I am near a window. I hope this is not a bad idea. It is actually pretty early in the day on Friday. So we'll see how this goes. There are construction workers right outside my building working on a couple buildings on the block, but they're at lunch right now. So hopefully we could get this done in time and it's not too noisy. So that being said, I have my coffee here. It's actually from my favorite spot in my neighborhood, and I'm gonna be sipping this. See, that's what I'm talking. That sound, all right. I'm gonna be sipping this. There's no alcohol today because, again, it is pretty early in the day, and y'all know I love a good libation, but I am not on vacation. So if I'm not on vacation, I try to drink after a reasonable time of day. So, updates. The holidays are coming, guys. It's the end of October. November is about to start next week, which means Thanksgiving is coming in a few weeks, and Christmas is a few weeks after that, New Year's, all of that. I am kind of freaking out because how did we get here? I feel like 4th of July happens and then Thanksgiving happens. Like, not a whole lot happens in between. We go at warp speed once we get to July. I say this all the time. People, when we're in the moment, like if it's July and I'm like, shit, there goes the end of the year. People are like, no, you're getting ahead of yourself. Trust me. And y'all can attest to this. You blink and December is here. So I am trying to get in the mood and get in the spirit. I actually bought one Christmas gift. I usually buy Christmas gifts 2 weeks before Christmas, no earlier than that. I bought one Christmas gift because I didn't want it to sell out. And I'm like, let me just start early this year. So I did that. I felt good about it. I'm really proud of it, but also I'm a weirdo. So, and I love to give gifts. I say that all the time. If you've listened to this podcast for a long time, I love to give gifts and I love to see the look on someone's face when I give them a gift that they love. And all I want to do is give the person their gift at this point. So I gotta relax, which is why I gotta wait till December to get this stuff done. But there's also holiday movies have started already. I think Lifetime, either Lifetime or Hallmark does holiday in July, where you get holiday movies. They do Christmas in July, and you get Christmas movies in July. I'm not into that. I don't want that. No. Also, I don't want them right now. I have my sister calling me and one of my best friends calling like, hey, are you watching, have you guys been watching Hallmark movies? Lifetime movies? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna watch any of these movies yet until December 1. December 1, If y'all want to tell me about some holiday movies, hell, I'll even talk about the holiday movies here on this podcast, because y'all know I love to talk about TV and movies. I'm not talking about that until December. I'm sorry. Give me my November. And why do y'all try to rush through Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving is a great holiday. It brings people together. There's great food. I get the Friday after off. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I do. So it's a nice long weekend. Why do we want to skip over that? Let's not skip over that. Let's enjoy Thanksgiving. Let's get through that. And then when we get to the other side of it, Christmas will be right there waiting for us. You can spend all of the money, you can do all of the things, and that'll be that. So that's where I'm at with that. I don't want any parts of that, but I feel like that's what the conversation is right now. My family does a Secret Santa every year, which is getting really weird because we've been doing it for so many years now, and there's only so many of us that we're starting to recycle people that we get. But my sister hit me up and she's like, hey, so can we schedule Secret Santa? Can we go ahead and pull names? And I'm like, it's October. I'm not pulling any names. And I'm in charge of it. So I told them they have to wait until at least November 1st. But I understand, everybody's getting anxious. And honestly, if it brings y'all joy to watch Christmas movies now, if it brings you joy to prepare for Christmas now, go ahead and do it. It's probably easier on your pockets too if you start doing your Christmas shopping from early rather than later. So go for it. I'm not trying to take away anybody's joy. I'm just telling y'all where I'm at. I can't, it's stressful. It's stressful. It's a lot. You be having a lot going on already, and then you got to deal with all of that. So, listen, I'm good with it. If y'all are good with it, I'm just not gonna do it myself. That ain't gonna happen. But everything else is cool on my end. I'm over here just living life and doing all the things, working on this podcast. I told y'all I got merch coming out, so the merch is on the way, and I'm excited. And I'll start teasing that a little bit more, and hopefully. Well, November is next week. I'm hoping that the merch is fully good to go, ready, done for release to everybody, pretty soon. Because holiday shopping obviously is a thing, so I want y'all to be able to get your merch for the holidays. So look out for that because it's coming. I'm very excited. It's very simple in the design because I love that minimalist look. So stay tuned. Get ready for it. What else do we have to talk about? Petty or nah? This is a good one. And some people are not going to like this one. But, sometimes you just got to say what you got to say. Petty or nah is about men. No, we don't have a lot of men listening to this podcast, but I know there are some. So, yeah, I'm talking to you or your friends or whoever fits this description. Not all men, but some. Some men have a tendency to talk about shit that doesn't concern them, and it's weird. Saying you have a problem with gold diggers, for instance, and I don't know anything about gold diggers. I'm not one. I don't care to be one. Whatever. If that's somebody else's business. But the reason that I have to address it is because I feel like this is the biggest one where there's some men who will talk about, women just looking for money and women doing this and women doing that. And this person is a gold digger and that person is a gold digger and all she wanted was his money. And it be the dudes who don't have no fucking money. Why are you speaking on that? What problem would you have with gold diggers considering you don't have any gold? It doesn't really make any sense. I don't understand. What are you saying right now? And why are you saying it? Explain that to me. Tell me. Also, like, dudes who are like, oh, I hate, girls being on the internet, like, women who influence or have a strong social media presence. She got mad followers or whatever. Is that girl checking for you? Is she? If she is, then let's have a conversation about it, right? But if she's not, why are we talking about this? Why are you talking about this? What does this have to do with you? Like I said, it's not all men, it's some men though. I remember doing this, I think this was 2020. I think this was during lockdown because this was virtual. I remember doing this, it was like a panel discussion that I had joined, not on the panel, but as an audience member that I joined, and it was about dating. And I remember the men like talking about their criteria of women that they go for. They were professional men. They were, probably in their mid-30s or so. Some single, some not. And it was just a candid conversation about dating and relationships and, things like that. And one of the number one things that they said was like, social media presence. One way or another, whether it was a woman who didn't have any social media presence or did have too much social media presence, it was a conversation. But my thing is, are those the women that are checking for you? Explain it to me. Like I said, because then we can have a conversation about it. But if it don't got nothing to do with you, why are you talking about it? I know, that's rich coming from me, right? Because, hardly minding my business, but somebody's got to talk about it, so that's me. That's going to be me. Tell me I'm in your business. I don't care. Anyway, that's my petty or nah for today. Yeah. Why don't you just talk about shit that concerns you? Why don't you just talk about shit that concerns you? Why are you concerned with women who want men with a lot of money if you're not a man with a lot of money? That means she don't want, like, you and her don't have any business. Think about that. Think about it and let me know what y'all think, because questions that need answers, okay? Q, T, and A. So, what else do we have to talk about? There's that thing that's looming over our heads that, like, we know that we have to talk about it and we want to talk about it, and y'all are probably waiting for me to talk about it, and I don't want to talk about it. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to talk about the Kanye of it all. I'm stressed because y'all know I do another podcast and we have talked about Kanye ad nauseum on Let's Have a Real Conversation. We even had to punch in additional content about Kanye this week because of Kanye's shenanigans. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you've been living under a rock, which sometimes we gotta do that, sometimes you gotta go underground. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Kanye West has been under fire for the past week and a half to 2 weeks for anti-Semitic comments that he made on Drink Champs. Even Nori ended up going on an apology tour. Nori is the face of Drink Champs. He is not the only host, but he is the big name on Drink Champs. Nori went on an apology tour and basically said, listen, we don't support anti-Semitism. This, like, everybody had to kind of rethink their business with Kanye recently. Apparently Nori and Kanye are good friends. And if you know Drink Champs, then you know that Drink Champs is a place where people kind of just shoot the shit and talk off the cuff. And Nori is really good at getting people drunk and high and getting them to tell all the secrets and all the business, right? That is not new. That is the way that things have been over the years. But this one hit home for some people that were not going to stand for it. And as a result, Nori had to have the podcast edited so that these comments could be taken out, but not before it was posted and released to the world. So now everyone is in an uproar. You have, and this is all after his White Lives Matter stuff that I said that I was not going to talk about the other day, and now I feel like it's right back in our laps, right? He has lost a lot of business connections. Adidas, I mean, he was under review with Adidas because he was having issues with them anyway. They've severed ties with him. Gap and Foot Locker have pulled all of his merchandise out of their stores. CAA has dropped him. A bunch of different places have dropped him. And again, go check out LHRC because we talk about it in depth over there. We did a whole episode on Kanye recently. So there's a lot of Kanye content there if that's what you're interested in. I don't want to get too much into it here on Hardly Minding My Business because I just feel like it's the same shit over and over again. And honestly, in my heart of hearts, I believe that Kanye did this because he was trying to get out of the Adidas and the Gap contracts, because it's all tied into his likeness and his creative rights are all tied into these contracts that he has. And I think that he found a way to get rid of these contracts. I think that this was all strategic. And not only did he succeed in severing ties with those two companies, but a lot of other people were like, okay, well then, you know, we going too. Now there's something to be said about the fact that, you know, Kanye has said so many things about Black people and none of his business relationships were affected. But the moment he spoke about Jewish people, his business relationships were affected. They don't give a fuck about us, y'all. I say that all the time. Like, it doesn't matter. They basically, I feel like companies basically were like, y'all deal with him. He's your own. Just so y'all do whatever y'all need to do with him, and that's it. I don't want to go down that road, but I just want to point out that I see it and I get it. And it's such a complicated thing because that is frustrating in itself to know that anything he said that was damaging to Black people or hurtful to Black people really didn't matter. Not nearly as much as this matters to so many people and so many companies and so many this. And I know that I'm speaking in a mocking tone because it's just like, it's all bullshit. Like, even in moments like this, we see white supremacy at work. But light podcast, Zen podcast. Well, not Zen, but you know, whatever. We're not doing that today. So go check that out. Like, if you don't know what the list is of companies that he severed ties with and you're interested, it's all on the internet. It's easy to find. He has also since come out, I think yesterday, and like poked fun at the fact that he's lost so much money and he's lost these business relationships, which I called it. If you watch LHRC this week, you'll see that I said it. I was like, oh, he's gonna come out and act like, yeah, I meant you to. Like, I'm good with this. This is funny. This is not a big deal. Listen, I don't know what is up with Kanye. I don't know. When I say I don't know what's up with him, I think that a lot of the things he does is intentional, but mental health has been introduced to the conversation many a times, and Kanye consistently denies that it's his mental health that is an issue. And I am fully aware that there are people who have mental health issues who will deny that they have them. But at this point, I am unwilling to create a scapegoat for Kanye. I'm unwilling to allow him to he's an adult. If you need help and there is something that you need and there's something that you should be doing to get yourself right, then you gotta do that. You gotta hold yourself accountable for that. I can't I can't be like, oh, well, temporary insanity every single time Kanye does or says something that he shouldn't do or say, because there are plenty of people with mental health issues who don't do this. So, no, Kanye. No. That's all I have to say about that. I feel like I spoke too much about it. I didn't want to speak this much about it, but here we are, and this is what's happening in the world. I don't want to ignore it, and I don't want to act like it doesn't exist. What else do we have to talk about? Nick Cannon is his 12th child is on the way. Good for him. I think he seems okay with it. He just keeps making babies, but like a bunch of women. It's weird. It is weird as fuck. It's weird. Like, I don't know. It's a weird conversation to have, because like, I'm not telling anybody how many children they should have or how many baby mamas they should have or whatever. But it's like, at what point are you spread too thin, my guy? Like, at what point do you not have enough time? 12 children is a lot, especially in different households. How you get to all of that? Does each of them get a month? Like, how does it work? We know he's financially prepared to take care of his children. That's not a question. But sometimes I think people forget, and I don't know if this is the case with him, but I just want to point out, like, in general, sometimes people forget that money is not money will help you raise a child. Sure, that is a fact. It is needed. Children are expensive, like, more than I even know, okay? Because I don't have children. So I'm sure it's way surmounts anything that I could imagine at this juncture of my life. But what I do know is that there's also such thing as quality time and being able to nurture the relationship you have and all of, like, and I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying it's impossible. My question is just how? I don't know, but I wish him well. Good for that man. His baby mamas seem to be cool. Like, they seem like they live good lives and they don't really have any issues with him in terms of like getting him to be a father or contribute what he's supposed to contribute. I think that he's in polyamorous relationships. I think that's what it is. One of the women, I don't know her name, and I'm not looking it up, but one of them had come out and said that, everything was cool and everything was good and there were like positive relationships between the women. She made it sound like that's what it is. I guess he kind of alludes to it, but has never confirmed it. And really, it's not our business if that's what he does, and that's what he does. And there's no judgment from me on that part. People do what works for them. But I don't know. I got questions. If I could meet Nick Cannon, I would ask Nick Cannon a bunch of questions. Like, how you holding up, bruh? How you holding up? That's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids for one man. And no, he's not the first man to have 12 kids. He's probably one of the few that is able to completely afford and sustain. But, ooh, I don't know. What else we gotta talk about? Before we get to what I'm watching, we have to talk about, this ties into what I'm watching. This ties into who I'm loving. Y'all know I love Rihanna. Rihanna just released a song last night called Lift Me Up. It is a part of the Wakanda Forever soundtrack. It is a tribute It is, I believe it's supposed to be in memory of Chadwick Boseman. Um, I say I believe because something I read, I realized wasn't a credible source, and I don't know if they created, I feel like they created content on top of what she did. So I don't want to misquote, but I believe that's what it is. And I listened to the song before I started recording. It's a beautiful song. Very moving. I started to tear up. Y'all know I'm an emotional bitch. So, I cry sometimes. You gotta have a good cry every now and again just to kind of balance shit out and then move on with your life. So there is that. But yeah, it's a beautiful song. Definitely listen to it and check it out. It gave me all the shivers and all the chills. And y'all know I've been talking about it for weeks now that Wakanda Forever is coming out on the 11th. Really excited to see it. I am still, let's just launch into my Marvel watching. I am still in the throes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Since I last recorded, I have watched five titles in preparation for Wakanda Forever. So I have watched, what did I watch? I think the last time I recorded, I had just finished watching Captain America and Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Winter Soldier, excuse me. I've since watched What If, not in this order, What If, Loki, Black Widow, Eternals, and Shang-Chi. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. There's a lot going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, okay? A lot going on. I don't even know where to begin. I still have 8 titles to get through before November 11th. Well, I don't think I'm going on November 11th to see Wakanda Forever, but in the next couple of weeks, I've still got 8 titles that I have to get through. I don't know how I'm getting through it, but I'm getting through it because a bunch of those are 6-episode shows and the episodes are not short. But I'm gonna make it through. A little note on what I've watched so far. So it's all been interesting. I don't love all of it. I think some of it is really great and some of it is not. I just want to point out that since I've been watching Marvel, I've said this before, that I'm really into Loki. I think Loki's character is hysterical. And I think he's so fun and like ridiculous. And I watched that Loki show and was disappointed. Loki is the god of mischief. And there wasn't enough mischief in his show for me. I didn't care for that. I didn't appreciate that. I feel like there should have been a lot more mischief. So we gotta, they gotta ramp things up. The next time, season 2 better be way better. Like, they could have done so much with Loki, visually, conceptually. Like, the costuming wasn't great. The lighting I hated. I didn't like it. Even just the idea of all these random Lokis in the multiverse, it was just kind of ridiculous. I'm sorry if you haven't seen it already. Psst. The show's been out for a long time, so what do you want me to do? But yeah, it was weird. I don't know. I didn't care for it, and I thought I was gonna really love it. So that makes me kind of sad. But it's okay. I'm gonna keep on pushing. I'm up to Hawkeye now. I don't know what that's gonna, what that's gonna be like. But I'm gonna start it and I'm gonna see what happens, and I will keep y'all posted and let y'all know. If anybody's watching along with me, let me know that too. In terms of everything else that I'm watching, I know I brought up Maths a couple weeks ago. I'm not gonna talk about it. I know I said I was gonna come back to it and talk about it, but honestly, I felt like the season was a dud. And normally I'm championing the show and I'm like, hey, you guys should watch this. This is ridiculous, or this is bizarre. This is really interesting. And I just didn't feel that way about this season that just ended. I honestly have not watched a full episode since like the first couple of episodes. I haven't. I did watch Decision Day. Decision Day happened this week because I don't watch it alone. I have a mass group chat situation, so I kind of have to, be on alert for that. But it was kind of disappointing. But you know what is good? And is by the same producers of Maths? Love is Blind on Netflix. Season 3 just came out last week. The first few episodes were released, and then more episodes were released this week. Love is Blind is always good because it's super fucking ridiculous. If you don't know what Love is Blind is, it's basically, it's supposed to be you're dating people without ever seeing them. And then, so you do that for 2 weeks, 10 days. You have 10 days to go on dates with people in the pods. The pods are like these individual, very much like my setup here. It's something like this. And then there's a wall that separates me and a guy, right? And then, we talk, we go on dates. You go on dates with different people, and you talk to them through the wall. And then you decide, like, if you're into them, you have the opportunity of getting engaged to them within that 10 days. Doesn't have to be the whole 10 days, but it's within 10 days. And then they send all of the couples off to an island to hang out, which essentially it's the people you were dating plus the person you chose hanging out, which can get a little weird and has gotten a little weird. And then once that's done, they go back to real life. They move in together. I think they move in together for about 4 weeks. And then there's a wedding, and they have to decide whether they're going to get married to this person or not on the wedding day, like at the altar. This shit is wild. It's wild because people are nuts. And it's amazing. It's incredible to me. And you could tell, I'm going to be honest, you could tell how much it gets manufactured over time. I feel like season 1 was obviously the most genuine. Season 3, I mean, I'm still going to watch it because it's super ridiculous. But season 3, I'm like, how is everybody in love? Like, how are all these people in love? You've been talking to this person through a wall. How? What is happening here? But it makes for great content, especially when the people start to intermingle and you're like, ooh, maybe that person wanted that person more than they wanted the person they chose. You can tell some people are just doing it for TV, like they just want to be on TV, or they just want to like be an influencer and get something out of it. I mean, a lot of people do reality television for that reason now and even years ago. But it's good. It's juicy. Because it just came out, I won't give too many details and too many spoilers, but that Raven, if you're watching it, you know. That Raven, I don't know about Raven. Raven is a little strange. The one man was like, all right, I'm gonna just tell y'all about this one scene. Raven, who I'm referring to, is talking to old boy. If you're gonna watch it and you don't like spoilers, turn this off for like 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes. I don't think it's gonna take that long. But Raven and homeboy are having their little exchange. They're talking. He starts to tell her a really vulnerable story about his family and something that happened when he was younger. And Raven, they're both like workout buffs. I think she's a Pilates instructor and he is, I don't know what his occupation is, but I know that he does bodybuilding. And Raven starts working out while this man is talking. Girl, what are you doing? And she's doing jumping jacks and she's doing a bridge. And it's like, girl, he can hear you. He can't see you, but he can hear. There's sound in the room. And he tells his story. He very gracefully finishes telling his story. And then at the end, she says something. which was a great indication of the fact that she was not listening, because she didn't acknowledge what he said at all. She kind of just said, "Oh, wow, well, thank you for sharing," or something like that. And he's like, "Yeah, you were doing, I was being super vulnerable and you were doing jumping jacks." She was like, "Oh my gosh, you can hear me?" Girl, Raven, just watch the show. I promise you won't be disappointed. Just watch it and check it out and let me know what you think about it. What else am I watching? I need to make a correction. I don't know. I was delirious the last time I did the podcast, because I made this whole speech about Corey Hardwick. I can never say his name right. Tia's husband, the actor, Corey. I made this whole speech about how he was great on All American, and I misspoke. He is not the coach on All American. He's the coach on Homecoming. Homecoming is a spinoff of All American. Both are great shows. Love both of the shows. But he is not on All American. That's just not true. So I fucked up. My bad. Listen. I'm only human. And I'm trying. But sometimes your girl just completely, like, my mind is just all over the place. My mind is moving 1,000,000 miles a minute. And I listened to it back, and obviously the episode came out. I listened to it back and I was like, girl, that's not true. Why did you say that? He is a coach. The show, it does have to do with All American, but it's actually not the same show. So I just wanted to clear that up. But I also wanted to point out that if you don't watch All American or Homecoming, do yourself a favor and check it out. I think the entire 4 seasons, I think they're up to season 5 on All American. The entire 4 seasons is on Netflix. I don't know if Homecoming is on Netflix yet. It might be. It's on its 2nd season, so very cool. But check that out if you're interested in that. But he is on Homecoming and not All American. What else we got? I think Reasonable Doubt. Speaking of black television, Reasonable Doubt is getting really good. I can't take my eyes off of it at this point. I'm so glad I stuck with it. I mean, listen, your girl, what is her name? Jax got a lot of shit going on. I said this before. She got a lot of shit going on. And she'll never know what she really wants, which is really frustrating when you're watching a show. And the main character just is all over the place. It makes for great television, but it's also frustrating because you're like, girl, figure it out. What do you want? Do you want this man in your house? Do you not want him in your house? Like, what is it that you want? You want to sleep with him? Do you not want to sleep with him? Do you want your husband? Do you not want your husband? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Jax? What are you doing? It gets me very angsty, but that's how you know it's a good show. So I take back everything I said. That's how you know it's a good show. When you have that angst and the episode ends and there's no new episode until next week and you're like, fuck, I need to know what happens next. I need to know what she's gonna do. That is the making of a great show. And I always say, you gotta watch like 4 episodes at least until you get to that point. So I stuck with it, and I'm glad that I stuck with it. Okay, the construction is starting, obviously. I don't think we really have too much else. Tweet of the week. There's no tweet of the week this week. Mainly because I'm using my phone to record. I can't get on Twitter. So no tweet of the week this week. I fucked up with that. I should have wrote it down. But no tweet of the week. Is there anything else we have to talk about? We talked about Chadwick Boseman. We talked about Rihanna. We talked about Nick Cannon. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff that we probably need to talk about or could talk about, but I can't think of it right now. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that. I hope this video went well. I had a good time recording it, and hopefully, you know, we will, maybe if this works out technically, if I'm able to get it all together, then, you know, more video next week. Until then, I will see y'all soon. Don't forget, follow me on TikTok at Hardly Minding My Business. I'm also at Hardly Minding My Business on Instagram and _D on Twitter. And I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.